We begin with Apple today, of course, announcing that new set of products during its product launch event at the newly unveiled Apple Park yesterday. Take a look at some of the latest from wireless charging to the iPhone X to the new watch. Shawn Carolan is managing director with Menlo Ventures and an early investor in Siri. And Jesse Hempel is the editorial director of Back Channel. Guys, great to have you with us on this Wednesday morning. Shawn, here we are again. This is always a sort of a challenging day because you're awash in headlines. There's so much to absorb, even though the demonstration was yesterday. But what are you thinking of? What is truly top of mind coming out of this announcement?
Geez. Well, good morning. I'd say that the phones themselves, the iPhone X is definitely the best phone they've produced yet, but a lot of incremental refinements, better screen, battery life, wireless charging, that sort of stuff. I honestly was looking for something super exciting that was going to change the game a little bit, like a big risk, and it didn't quite see that. But I still am really excited about ARKit. That's not just for the new phones, but all of the phones. I think there's going to be some pretty interesting applications. Education, virtual story time, you're seeing characters run around your room, toys, e-commerce, different sites where you can kind of put furniture or cars in your driveway, shoes on your foot, as we were talking about earlier. So that's a pretty cool area we're going to be watching. But, honestly, a little bit underwhelmed.
Jesse, I feel like the last iPhone that people thought lived up to expectations, maybe there wasn't one. I mean, the 4, it had antenna gate. The 5, oh, it's just longer. The 6, oh, it's just bigger. But somehow Apple keeps selling gobs of these things. I personally was surprised by a number of the features that came out. I mean, not surprised yesterday because they had been kind of all over the interwebs.
Right.
But to me, the doing away with Touch ID and doing Face ID is the big risk that Apple took here. But it was always a question, how do you use Touch ID on a watch, right? But Face ID, eventually, if they put a camera in it, it'll work. What are your thoughts, innovation-wise?
I mean, they basically had to bring out Face ID at this point. And you're right, it is a big risk. And they're bringing it out against a context in which consumers are more concerned than they've ever been, I think, about the safety of these things. And so we ask the question, how secure is this? And Apple tells us, well, only 1 in a million faces fool it. Well, is that 1 in a million faces that look exactly like my face? Because any hacker trying to fool it is going to go find all of the round-faced blonde people it knows to try to do that. Still, I think that really what we're seeing is like a 1.0 version of the face technology. And we know that this is where technology is going. And so, to me, it wasn't that big of a risk or even that big of a surprise. And John, you nailed it. We always expect the iPhone to be bigger, better, bolder, and more beautiful than it ends up being on that day that it is announced, even if we have, like this time, seen all the information leaked over the weekend, right? And then it never is, and yet it sells anyways.
But the new aspect here, Shawn, is that price tag of $1,000. I mean, that's where a lot of the coverage is focused, and that could also, you could argue, is the big risk, not just in the U.S., which is a largely saturated market for smartphones, but in places like China where the less expensive phones do better in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids joke because I say I have to buy it all no matter what because my job requires it. So I'll be able to get one. But yeah, I think, they're very good at pricing, very good at merchandising, having the iPhone X as the top of the line. I mean, it's an amazing phone. Don't get me wrong. I think it's the best phone on the market, and there's going to be a lot of them that sell. So, I think they're very good at that platform strategy.
I was taken aback by one response, and I can't remember who it was, Jesse, who said it was the first demonstration where in 2 years, where you came out wanting the watch more than you wanted a new phone. Did you feel that way?
The total sleeper hit, and I have to tell you, I have not wanted to wear a watch. Just from the very beginning, the idea of having the interrupting that much closer to my body, it just seemed like absolutely something I didn't want to do. But it got me. And the reason it got me is really what Apple has figured out about the watch. I started to want the fitness aspects of it. And that was the way that it traveled into my home personally. And I think that what we're doing with this watch is just a better user experience all around.
Shawn, I still don't want the watch, or a watch, I should say. Who knows if I'm going to get an Apple product or some other product, or a phone. But a phone is my productivity computing device of choice. And that's the thing that gets me
Absolutely.
about the price here. I mean, you don't think twice if you're, a serious knowledge worker about spending $1,000 for a PC. Why do people think $1,000 for a phone, which we use more, look at more, is a lot? Is it just because the other phones don't cost as much?
Yeah, I think it's just shocking. You know, anytime you add an extra significant digit to a price point, you know, getting up to triple digits there, I think people are gonna, or quadruple digits, people are gonna scream a little bit. I completely agree, John. It is the most important device to my productivity. But, that's what I was kind of hoping for, to be honest with you. I don't feel like you need a laptop anymore. I'd rather just have my phone in my pocket and then dock when I get to whatever place I get to and have that be, the center of everything for me. So you're going to get your money back on the investment in productivity for sure. It's a faster processor, if nothing else.
One of our favorite viewers says if you look at average daily use of 2 hours and 50 minutes on your phone, 50 cents an hour over 2 years, which seems reasonable, but for a lot of people, $1,000 is a sizable payment.
50% more than what the phones typically cost.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk.
Well, and listen to you guys. John is replacing his laptop with his phone. You're thinking you could maybe use the watch instead of your laptop. I mean, there's a strategy here.
I still use a laptop.
For now.
For now.
Shawn, Jesse, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.